right. Looks like we are live. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the July edition of the website Throwdown. We're very excited, and we'll just jump right into it today. I'm Bob Ruffalo, founder and CEO of Impact Branding and Design. Behind the scenes, as always, Ramona and Christine, they make this whole thing happen. They gather the websites, they do all the controls, all the promotion, they get our guests all scheduled, do a phenomenal job. Also with us today, my business partner, Tom DeCipio. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? What's up from across the office?
Yeah, actually, I changed my location today.
I saw that. I like the background.
Yeah, I know. It's got just the gray background, but I was just telling Tara that we're going to have this room painted tomorrow, so it won't be gray anymore as far as I know.
Oh, sweet.
So,
cool. Yeah, well, my name's Tom DeCipio. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer here. And as you'll probably see in a little bit, if you want to reach out and chat with me, impactbnd.com/talk. And I basically talk with anyone who fills out that form about driving more traffic, leads, and sales for their website and their inbound marketing program.
You are very good at what you do.
Thanks, Bob. Likewise.
And we have a very special guest this week. This is one of my favorite people. She is the vice president of marketing at Hotjar. Just a conversion optimization expert. I've seen her speak a few times. Super excited that you're on with us, Tara Robertson. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. You just gave me such a great introduction. You guys are two of my favorite people, too, so thank you. Excited to be here. So for those of you that don't know me, like Bob said, VP of Marketing for Hotjar. Hotjar is an online user analytics and feedback tool set, so we help support user intelligence and understanding the user experience and how people are essentially using your site. So perfect background in regards to getting in and throwing down some websites. So hopefully we'll be nice, but not too nice to you guys today.
Well, Tara, we have an event coming up together, which I'm really excited about.
We do. Me too. This will be a fun one.
Right on cue, Christine shows the slide. It's called How to Master Testing and Triple Your Conversion Rates. If you're in the greater Connecticut area, we're having it at our office here at Impact. If you want to see where Tom and I work and where all the magic happens, come to our office. On August 4th. It'll be in the morning, so it'll be from 9 a.m. till about 2 p.m. We'll have lunch for everybody. And Tara, what are they going to learn that day?
They are going to learn a ridiculous amount of everything from setting up a conversion rate optimization plan to how you can work on finding quick tips and feedback within your website and what you can do to really increase your user experience overall.
Am I allowed to come to this?
Nah, you're not invited, Tom. Of course.
Okay.
Well, we take workshops really seriously here at Impact, and this is not one where you're going to come there, you're going to listen to us for 5 hours, and you're going to leave with a bunch of notes. The way we're building this, and Tara, we've gone over this a few times, we want everyone to leave with an action plan on specifically for their own website of things unique to them that they can go back to work on next month or two to significantly improve their site's conversion rates. So it's been a lot of work putting this together, but we're really excited. So the link right there, impactbnd.com. I guess we're using Hotjar, which is cool. So /Hotjar.
That is cool.
We'll redirect right to the page. And the last thing I want to add on this too is we're going to focus on conversion optimization. I obviously bring a HubSpot perspective to this and how you can do a lot of this with the HubSpot tools. But if you haven't used Hotjar before, it's an unbelievable tool. It's one of my favorite tools in our tool set. So Tara's going to be there, and she's going to be teaching you how to use Hotjar and which tools matter and what numbers and metrics to look at so you can make the conversion optimization improvements to your site.
And we love interaction, so get ready for some fun when we get there. So we've got some homework to get started when you start getting on, as well as really live user things that you can do throughout the day. So it should be a fun time.
I'm looking forward to it. You know what else I'm looking for? I'm looking forward to throwing down some websites. So why don't we say we jump right into this?
Do it.
Do it.
All right. As always, we're going to remind everybody to use the hashtag today, website Throwdown. I'll be monitoring it, so will Ramona and Christine, and we'll be answering any questions live, so please use the hashtag website Throwdown. And I am batting leadoff with Shield Q. So I looked at this site, and it took me a little bit to pretty much to understand what the product was. I think I got it after I dug into the site a little bit more. But my first impression on the site, I didn't see credibility out of the company. I was nervous that this wasn't a real company. I walked through a bunch of the reasons why I felt this way, but that was my first impression. I think one thing that stood out to me was the font choice in the hello bar or the sub navigation menu, the top menu there, first PCI compliant. I don't know, it's almost like a scary font when you're talking about security. It almost looks like something's being hacked. Yeah. And I think it's the opposite of what you're going for.
Definitely.
As I go through, keep confidential data safe as being the main headline. I get that that's the value proposition, but it doesn't really describe what the product is or what you do. I understand that that's how there's a million different products that do that. Why are you different? Why should I care? I'm not understanding it. Then this next statement, I was like, oh, maybe this will explain it to me. Secure personal and payment card data with ShieldQ, the independently accredited service that lets you accept emails, fax, and uploads in a safe, compliant. It was just long, and I wasn't following it. So I'm saying, okay, who's this for? And I went through the navigation a little bit. And I see there's a drop-down under applications, and I saw hotels, which I found that to be a little funny, that there's only one application for this. Then when I went over to the hotels page.
And Bob, to me, really quick there, applications to me just says, like, is it the application itself, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we're going to look at?
Like a software, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I saw this, safeguard your guests' payment and card data, accept bookings from email, fax, images, documents, and remain out of PCI scope. This almost should be your homepage. If this is the only application that you're promoting right now, I would just make that the homepage. I was a lot stronger than what I just read in the homepage. I don't know. That's my opinion. What do you guys think on that?
This is super interesting to me because the last page that you looked at and this page, they're really two home pages, like you said, and this one is a sexier page to me. And I think even the little things, like if you look at the icons that they have here, they're standing out a lot more, and that feeling of security, you really did miss it in that first page. But suddenly seeing that shield under compliant queue and the lock all the way on the right side, they're standing out a lot more, so I'm feeling a little bit more strangely secure in looking at it. And I agree with the title taglines. I think safeguard your guest payment card data, that makes more sense to me. I'm not reading that 10 times to try to figure out what they're doing.
Exactly, exactly. And now, going back to the whole credibility thing, if you go down this page a little bit, the first thing I said is, oh, great, what hotels do they work with? And I don't see it. Then I'm like, all right, well, what does the product look like? And I don't see it. I just see designed icons. You know, I don't understand the company. I'm seeing stock photos of people that could be from any website in the world. I'm just not seeing that this is a real company. And I think that's the most important thing that I think you guys should go back and address on this page or on this site, is how do we make ourselves look more legitimate? How can we prove to our website visitors that we're a real company? And I just got stuck on that. It took me a while. It took me to get to the tour page where I could finally see screenshots of the product. And that helped. But without being able to show customers that you worked with, I don't know if you're a startup that's just trying to get off the ground, or something that maybe it's just one person out of their house and they're building, or if this is something that if I'm Hilton, I should be seriously considering. I'm not putting any of that in perspective. I'm just missing all of that. The last thing I wanted to bring up is the call to action in the nav bar for try buy. I don't like that. If it's you're trying, or you're just, how about get started, or something like free trial, because if I click on that, it just brings me to a form, really not any instructions on what next steps are. So it was kind of confusing on that. I feel like there should have been a landing page here that explains what I'm going to have in my free trial, or I don't know, just it seems confusing. It didn't really explain what's going to happen next. That's what I have for this site. Now, Tara, do you guys have a free trial option on your site?
Yeah, we do.
What recommendations would you have in terms of getting more people just, I mean, it looks like they're just going to sign up and start using the software.
Yeah, I think if you have a try it for free, it's probably better to focus on the word try and not buy. If someone's just testing it out and there is a free trial, the first thing you want to do is just get them into that free trial. You can nurture them obviously from there if you do have that option to try it out. And then I think that for something like a security company, like we were talking about before, if you go to that try by link and suddenly you go to this page that is just a form, how do you know that you're secure, again, especially if you're a security company? It's almost contradictory into what they're talking about versus the way that they're giving you an experience. So I would even get rid of the word buy because you have prices already there in the navigation for what your buying options would be, and focus on just the try it for free.
One other question I had too with the free trial is, are we expected to put our real customer data and start using it with our real customers, our real guests right now? Is that how I'm going to try it, or is there going to be an experience where I can actually see what it's like with fake customers? Maybe there's demo portal that I'm going to be having a chance to play around with, and I think that should have been the answer because I'm not obviously the target audience for this, but I'm like, how am I going to try this? I'm not going to be using it with my real customer. What am I going to get out of a trial? So. Yeah,
that's a great point, Bob. I mean, who wants to try security, right? You want to see it in action and then be confident that it's going to work.
Great. That's this site. Let's why don't we say we move on?
Nice.
Cool. All right. I think I'll tackle this one here. So I have Sorbolite, which is a company that converts some waste products into things that we could use every day. And I had to do a little bit of digging to figure that out. On my 13-inch MacBook here, it was tough to see a little bit below that top image. And unfortunately, the first reaction I had was landscaper. Whenever you see kind of that grassy image, and I'm probably going to come at this from more of a UI UX standpoint, it just screamed landscaper right away, until I kind of looked at that renewable resource icon on the left in the hand, and I figured, okay, there's something more to it. The tagline itself was a little gimmicky, creating a more eco-friendly tomorrow today, which reminded me of kind of like a commercial slogan that somebody would say in between a TV program or something like that. But what it didn't catch me on exactly what it is that you do and who you do it for. So as I scrolled down a little bit, I did see that there was a supporting statement: manufacturing equipment and exclusive technology for the processing of refuse materials and high quality, high profitable, blah, blah. So right there, I think it did a nice job of capturing what it is and what the result, the finished product is. But again, I'm still really not really sure who it's for. Is it for the refuse companies that can deliver materials to you? Is it for the average consumer who has the ability to do good things with some of their waste products? I think it's important to define that in that statement. The next section here, although it's really simple, I love it. I mean, there's really no easier way. Christine, if you could scroll back up a little bit, right there. There's really no easier way to explain this, right? You're converting these products into something awesome. I would have actually loved to see this way higher up on the page, and then actually include the title of your video at the bottom as your value proposition. So Christine, if you scroll down a little bit, there's a how does it work video, which I did watch, and unfortunately I didn't think it was that strong. It was about 3 minutes long. I think it was a little bit too long for me to stay engaged. But the title of it, Convert Waste Materials into Profits, to me that speaks right to the business, right? So if you use that as your main value proposition, then you have that supporting statement. I think you're doing really strong in helping people convert and understand exactly what it is that you do. If you scroll down a little bit, I do see this renewable type of imagery here, but again, I think I'd like to see a bit more in relation to your actual service. So maybe it's an actual product that you created from one of these waste materials or part of the machine. something that brings it closer to your business. To me, this just reads stock photography. And while the image is actually quite nice, it's not two standard business people looking at each other. It still wasn't screaming the right message for me. So
it's still similar to the site we just looked at. It's still a credibility question, right? I mean, when you're looking at all these stock photos, you're wondering how legit the company really is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What was so interesting to me, if you can scroll back up a little bit, Christine, to the video, where you mentioned the value proposition, convert waste materials into profits, I'd be really curious if you used that as kind of your positioning when you first start the website, and then take those pictures you have and show even some form of an animated GIF or a GIF, however we all say it, to just show these waste materials turning into something really cool and really profitable, because that picture that you have above where it shows change this into this, like that for me makes me not think at all. Like I would look at the website and say, yes, okay, I get it, that's what you do, and that's pretty cool, I'm interested in that. But without having that there, you really have to scroll down to understand. So you might be getting a lot of bounces early on the site where people are trying to think a little too much and figuring it out.
Do we ever find out who the customer was? I'm not sure if we...
I don't think so. I'm only going into a B2B state because they use the word profits, but I don't know which business it would be in particular. Maybe it's some kind of manufacturing company that has leftover shells or something, or leftover, I don't know, maybe a farming company. I'm not sure.
And is this a local company? Is it a national company? How do you get started with them? I'm not sure if you've answered any of that yet either. I think that's important in terms of turning strangers into leads into customers.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was going to go next. If we climb back up to the top here, I appreciate that you guys have a phone number at the top, but there's other ways you can have people convert here. You do have to schedule your confidential consultation today, which I think is a bit verbose. I'm not sure why it has to be confidential. Is there something in particular you're trying to protect? But to me, that actually would be more of a deterrent, right? It's something very secretive or protected. You might be able to open up the conversation a bit easier if you could do, start improving your bottom line today, or something along those lines, right? And keeping that up in the navigation bar the whole time. With the phone number, I think it's great that you have that, but there's some other ways to grab attention there, and there's also ways to track people that are actually clicking on it or using that and seeing if that's actually an effective method for people to contact you. One of them, Tara, to your point, is if you have Hotjar, you can actually see if people are hovering over that number. You can also create a phone number as a call to action as well, and again, see if that's been a good lead source for you guys. And you can optimize conversion there by possibly saying, speak to a representative now, using words to get more action on that number, or putting a picture of somebody who you might actually be talking to on the other end of that line.
I love that you brought that up, Tom, because I was thinking just that. I would love to see this page with a heat map on top of it to see where people are actually clicking, where they're scrolling, where they're dropping. So even if you look at the schedule your confidential consultation today, I mean, who really clicks on a consultation button? I mean, buttons are exciting, but you don't know what you're going to get out of that consultation. You don't really understand what that offer is, and it is very further on down in the sales cycle. So if we're still trying to explain what we're doing, it'd be great to see how people are interacting with the site, or are they even scrolling down far enough in the page to understand what they do? Absolutely.
And Christine, if you could click over to the blog, I just have one more point, and I'll leave them with a tip. So it's great that you've started the blog. But what I'm not really seeing is any consistency in your posting. So we've got a post on the 25th of May. We've got one on June. So when we look at that, one of the things that came to mind, I read a stat the other day, is that B2B marketers who are using blogs generate about 67% more leads than those who do not. And that was from Inside View. And a really simple way that you can start doing this is creating an editorial calendar and defining when you're going to be posting and coming up with some really strong topics that can help these businesses that you're targeting. So I see agricultural in one of your titles here. If the agricultural industry is a target for you, what are some topics you can create to help them, again, improve maybe the waste that they get rid of, how can they repurpose that?
Looks like blogging is new for them, and I mean, keep at it. If you guys, if they can get up to a couple of articles per week and start building up their assets, that alone is going to get new eyeballs on their products, and they have the opportunity to educate what they do.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even just throwing some basic subscribe options on the blog, or a call to action, like they have the video on the homepage. Do they want a video here that showcases what they do? Just really some good conversion assists for them would be great on this page.
Cool.
Great. Why don't we say we move on to the next site?
All right, so I'll jump into this one. So I think we're seeing a little bit of a trend here in looking at the websites and figuring out kind of what's jumping out at us. And I had a very similar challenge when I first got to this company in figuring out what it is that they do contactually. So if you read that headline, nurture leads, develop repeat customers, and generate referrals, to me that's just such off-the-shelf canned words. Like, they could be HubSpot, they could be Salesforce, they could be MailChimp. You don't really know what it is that contactually does. So I feel like when you first get to the site, really working on that overall value proposition, like who they are and what they do, try to make it more human and less coined, would be the first thing I'd look at. And then if you look right under there, the try contactually with Google, try contactually with Office 365, don't use one of the accounts above, try contactually for free. There's a lot going on in that small section when it comes to call to action. So similar to what Bob brought up before, like the try it for free, I'd maybe try testing out this variation against a variation where you have just one button of try contactually for free, no credit card required, and leave the rest to a pricing page or leave the rest to sign up so that you can see, is that helping increase your conversions? And it's all about testing, right? Making sure that you don't just make the change, but you test this variation against another one. But as I went through the whole site, I noticed they had these side-by-side buttons in trying it with Google or trying it with 365, and you have to look to see, well, wait, what if I don't have one of those accounts? What do I do? So you could be losing people right off the bat with having just those two buttons. One thing I noticed with these guys, which was exciting, is that they are using Hotjar. So I would have loved to see also the heat map on this page, or set up, a poll or something to start asking people what their experience has been like. Because as you scroll down just a little bit, I noticed even those 4 buttons right there, the identify, follow up, close, and track, they're not actually buttons or live links. So I'd hypothesize, without looking at a heat map, that people might be clicking on those trying to go somewhere and see if something's happening, and if so, there could be an opportunity to bring people into your site in different ways. If you scroll down just a little bit more on this page, so I'd say as you get to this section right here, this is where you really kind of start to understand a little bit about what contactually does. So it's still, if you were to take, for example, some of what you say here, like never miss an opportunity, or right above this section, it mentions that contactually is a CRM, take that and move that value proposition up on the site so that you have less coined and more, this is the technology, this is what we'll do. And I love that as you get further down this page, scroll down. Thanks, Christine. In this section, we do start to get into social proof, right? So there's case studies, there's testimonials, but what I found as I looked through them is none of these testimonials to me really jumped up as something that me as a user, like as the persona potentially for contactually, is excited about. Like, so if I read Tate Parker's out loud, as an example, since I started using it, all of my deals have come from contactually. So to me, as the end user, like, big deal, my deals have come out of contactually, right? Good for Tate, that's awesome, but that's just a piece of software. Where's the ROI? Where's the value? So if you click on the finance guy, sorry I'm pointing, but finance guy on the right side, and feel free to jump in, guys. I'm probably going at rapid pace.
I'll do it.
Here. And scroll down a little bit on this page. What I loved, and it'll be a big quotation, is right here. So John says, since implementing Contactually, I've seen an average sales cycle shrink from 18 to 24 months down to 6 months. That's huge. There's ROI. So here's John basically saying that he's 3x or 4x'd his sales cycle potential or his business revenue just by using this tool. So suddenly it's not from Contactually's point of view, but it's from John's point of view where he's getting direct ROI out of the tool. And that to me is a much sexier quote than I've sent my deals through Contactually. So I try to think about some of the social proof that you have because you have it here and how you might be able to use that kind of on your homepage to get more of that aha or wow moment from people that are getting to your site.
And Tara, too, just from a visual standpoint, this pops off the page. Your eye stops and you read it. On the homepage, it's all contained and then contained again in a speech bubble, and you can't even read it. Your eye skips right over it. It almost gets hidden on the page.
Exactly.
So from a visual standpoint, have the testimonials look like this. This looks great.
Yeah, and I think even if you had this up higher on the page, as an end user, I'm less interested in like another CRM or another way I can increase leads or advance my sales cycle. But if I have something that says like, wow, you might 3x your revenue by trying this kind of a tool out, then that's going to get me to want to say like, okay, let me try converting here. So I think that's an exciting thing to think about for the site. Another thing that I wanted to point out, if you don't mind going to the blog, Christine, please. When I got to the blog, and I hope I'm not being too hard here because I think that first and foremost, the site is a beautiful site in some ways. It's just really kind of how it's organized. But I got to the blog and I was like, whoa, information overload, call to action overload. So first and foremost, you have this pop-up that comes up, and if you close out of the pop-up, there's this sliding banner suddenly with different call to actions throughout the sliding banner. And I don't know if everyone on the call has actually joined the last couple sessions, but Marcus, Joanne, I know they both even said, like, get rid of the sliding banner. Like, enough with the sliding banners. They're way too distracting. Focus on the one thing on this page or the one message that you want to get across, whether it's try contactually or testing out different variations of different kinds of CTAs based on who's on your site. So I noticed that these guys use HubSpot, so you can use the COS, for example, to create personification with who's on your page overall. But if you scroll down, you've got this crazy scrolling banner. You've got a CTA on the top for Try Contactually. There's another CTA on the bottom for the Contactually Academy. So I'd focus on trying to reel that in a little bit and make a little bit less CTAs and put a little bit more context to what is the one thing that you're trying to get people to do, whether it's subscribe or try it for free. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, that's actually an initiative that we've been doing here at Impact, is trying to have less calls to action on our pages, but more bring the entire page down to one giant focused CTA, and testing that out, and that's, it's been working for us. So
awesome.
And I think we talked about this a few throwdowns ago. The more options you give people, the more you're forcing them to think, opposed to just being like the natural thing that they just want to continue to do. It's almost like just instead of having a nice smooth transition, you're making a person like say, okay, do I want right or do I want left, right? And it just slows down the entire process.
Yeah, exactly, and a great book to read for that everybody at Hotjar reads kind of in your onboarding is, I'm not sure if you guys have ever read Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug, but it's an amazing book that gets into kind of usability and UX and how you want people to get to your site to not think too much. Like, you don't want them to think. Use KISS, like keep it simple, stupid, and think about like how, when somebody gets to their page, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to read your blog, or do you want them to go away from your blog with all of these different pieces of content you're throwing at them, and then condense that down? And the last tip I have for this site is if you go to the resources page, let me see. Yeah. Well, actually, two tips. The first one was back on that last page, sorry. I just wanted to point one thing out in the navigation I almost forgot about is on that top navigation, there's the blog, resources, about us, and then try contactually with an exclamation point. I would maybe get rid of that exclamation point, and that might be the perfect spot to take those huge CTAs you have further on down the page and make a simple button on the top. And again, split test it, see how that does with variations, put a heat map on, see how people are clicking or where they're clicking on your page before trying any of these things out. That's the best way to make decisions, is to make it on data. But really, I would try to take away, like anytime you have an exclamation point, people think you're shouting at them. And I know that I tend to over exclamation, like everyone on my team will tell me stop shouting at me because I get excited. But people at your site, they might not be excited to try contextually yet. So I think you want to give them that soft entry into it. So we can go back to the resources page now, Christine. Thank you. The last thing I have for this site is that I think that when I went to the resources, it's obvious that you guys have dedicated an incredible amount of time to content, which is awesome, right? Like content's king, content marketing is amazing. But when I got to this page, I am incredibly lost. I don't know where to go. I don't know what each piece of content really is. There's so much to look at here, and what's really unfortunate is if you scroll over any one of these to try to see what's being said, like what are these guides, then the social icons even pop up over the titles that you can't read to begin with. So I would put a lot of energy into the resources page just to modify it so that A, you can see the title, and B, it's organized in a way that people aren't getting lost. Because I think anytime you have a resources page set up in this way, you're probably losing a lot of potential leads, a lot of potential opportunity, and the amount of time and energy going into creating all this content, you want it to be read, right? So I definitely would focus on trying to make those titles stand out a little bit more versus just, I think if you scroll down a little, Christine, there are these kind of in-between CTAs that say, like, interested in content, sign up for our weekly newsletter. That's cool. That jumps out at me. But the other...
This is a user flipboard. That's what I think we're looking at here.
Interesting. Yeah, so I think maybe if there's a way that you can have the titles pop up over them or something that tells you what you're looking at. Anything else? Would you guys have anything that you'd like to add to that too? It's interesting if you open up any of those and see how the landing pages pop up too, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for, really building these out further.
I have it. I mean, it's one of my pet peeves when I see, if we go back to the previous page, and it's kind of happening here, but to your point, it's not fully happening. Where you see the cover and it's got the title, and then right below it, it's got a title again. It's kind of duplicate, and I don't know. I feel like I agree with you. This whole page should just be much, much cleaner. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's got, or is just looking at one before, and I'm seeing it right now. Yeah, there it is. Like the 5x5 guide, and then right below it, the 5x5 guide.
Right.
Yeah, just little things like that.
Yeah, and I think there's also a lack of consistency. So even if you scroll down on the page and you look at all of the different kinds of pieces of content that are here, like I don't really know what Contactually's brand is. What are they using? A lot of stock images? Do they use more data sheets? Is there this crazy typography like Naughty by Nature? None of these really. Naughty by nurture. That is clever. Look at that slip. But I don't know what it is, right? So there's nothing that's teasing me to want to open up any of these. And like you said, if I'm seeing like Naughty by Nurture duplicated there, I don't know what a Naughty by Nurture ebook is. I might, because the title is so fun, want to read it. But other than that, there's nothing that's making me want to convert. And I bet there's some great content here that you'd want to read.
Yeah. Naughty by Nurture ebook, you have a pool of leads.
Oh, good. I have a pool of leads.
I could use a pool of leads right now and go swimming in them. It's so hot. Awesome. So I think that's most of what I had. I could go on for a while because I love these things, but I know we've got other websites to get to.
Great points. No, absolutely great points.
That was awesome.
Good. Shall we move on?
Let's do it.
No questions on Twitter yet. Some good feedback. A lot of people tweeting and that they're watching, tuning in, but share your comments, guys. Share any questions that you have. We're here to bring you onto the broadcast. So Caslin and Cecil. So one of the first things I noticed here is that is it castle.org? I didn't even realize it was .org. But my first comment was that poor Cecil didn't make it into the domain name. But now I'm going to also add in that I'm not sure why it's a .org. It's a law firm, and it doesn't seem like it would be a foundation or nonprofit or a group. So I'm sure .org is all over their marketing, but .com or something along those lines would be probably more appropriate. Probably nitpicking, but I get surprised when I see for-profit companies using a .org. Nevertheless, there's a few things on this site, believe it or not, I really, really like. And for someone that maybe has it looks like a small law firm, probably doesn't have a marketing team, but they're doing a lot of things right. I actually like the fact that instead of just, you have contact us in navigation, but they put free initial consultation. I mean, just something as small as that is, I think, a big factor in terms of converting website visitors into leads. So I'm not sure if that's a link or not, but they made talking to them an offer. Like, it's not just contact us. It's like you're going to get something. You're going to get a free legal consultation when you talk to us. I would like to see a whole page built out that set next steps to say, this is our process, and you're going to get this much time with one of these two people, and share this with us, and it's all confidential. I would love to see some kind of build out that package that you're going to get for free if you just contact them.
This is where that confidential consultation button makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally. I was just thinking that too. It's like I do want a consultation from a lawyer at times. Like buying a house consultation, you're free, awesome.
Yeah.
Next, what I really liked here is I really like their value proposition, protecting Kentucky's people. It's clear. I understand what you do. I understand who you do it for. And that all jumps off in 3 words. It's a great purpose statement that you can use as a litmus test to say, should we be doing it, should we not? We're on a mission to protect Kentucky's people, which I loved. I thought that was incredibly, incredibly strong.
Mm-hmm.
So if we scroll down,
I actually really like the picture too. I feel like if I were in Kentucky, I'd feel protected by that signature, like Kentucky's hugging me.
See, that's interesting. I almost felt the complete opposite.
Oh, that is interesting.
I felt like I was being written up, like it was almost kind of on the negative side. And I would have loved to see like Caslin and Cecil protecting Kentucky's people, right?
Yeah.
Like some of they're backing up the value proposition.
Less stocky and more here are the lawyers you're going to talk to.
Yeah.
You know what? And that's Tom, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that would be a perfect back image there, is to show the 2 lawyers with a bunch of people from the community, maybe in front of something that screams Kentucky, and then everyone's smiling, and it's like protecting Kentucky's people. And here we are with a bunch of people that we care about. This is why we're in business. This is the whole reason why we get out of bed every morning.
You guys sold me. Completely agree.
That would have been a very, very strong visual. All right, if we could scroll down a little bit. Some of the things I don't like, and we're going to start seeing it right here with the gavel, and you're going to start seeing it with the pictures of Caslin and Cecil. It's like they overly tried to be just like every other lawyer website that ever existed ever. And it's just, I hate it. I don't like the fact that it's just blah. It's just, here's a picture of us not even smiling, staring at a camera, just blank-faced, right? Like, I get that these are professional pictures. I get almost every lawyer picture looks like that. This is what lawyers do, and all lawyers look like. I get it, but you made yourselves look like statues. Mm-hmm. And you're in the business of being. Here you are. We just had this beautiful story about how you're protecting Kentucky's people, and you come off so impersonal. Mm-hmm. I don't get it. And then
even that stance.
Yeah.
It's intimidating.
Yeah, it is. It's like a little scary. I don't know if I trust you because you're not opening up to me.
and I'm sure they're not like that in real life.
No, of course not.
But they're just and I've seen, I have lawyer friends, and then sometimes I look at their photos, I'm like, this isn't you.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of lawyers, and they're awesome and they're cool, and then you look at their pictures, and it's like they're scary looking. And I don't know why lawyers do that.
You know what it is? It might be a competitive thing where every other lawyer website looks the same, and they feel like they have to compete on the same level. It's like their target market is lawyers.
Well, let it be known that you guys are racing to the bottom.
Yeah.
You're really not standing out. You're not helping your business at all. We just talked about all these other websites and how important it is for you to look credible and look realistic, and that you can help people, and that you're a legitimate company. And if you're really just trying to be just like everyone else, the stock photos, I don't know.
Well, and I think you had a great point too, is put Kentucky behind them. If it's so focused on geographically based too, like put Kentucky in like a real life scenario with them in it, and then I feel like these people know me, they get me.
Yeah.
If we now, if you work for Impact Branding and Design, then this is one of my least favorite things, because I've made our staff pretty much rip it off of every website that they've ever tried to put it on.
I think I know where you're going with this.
I'm excited to see where you're going with this.
Christine knows. You can just hover right over them, Christine.
Yep. There it is.
I just think that's terrible UI, because until I told anybody that those were links, and Christine knew because we talked about this before, they don't look like links, and they don't look like there's text behind there. And what I hate is I see so many people put their most important information behind a UI like that and just get skipped right over. So I don't know, especially when they have the most important CTAs hidden underneath something like that, right? That's even worse.
You can't even read them too. So Christine, if you hover over one, I mean, it might be my screen resolution, but I have to get really close and squint a little bit to see what they're saying there. So I think even just the words themselves, they're just completely being lost behind the picture, and then they get lost even more with the resolution size.
Yeah. And then the last thing I want to share on this site, I'm going to imagine you have a website because you want awareness, you want people to find you so you can generate business. I'm sure that's why they submitted their site to Throwdown. The biggest piece of advice I can have for them is to start blogging. Whenever anyone has any issues where they considering maybe suing somebody, or they have legal trouble, wherever it is, right? The first thing they do is they go to Google, and they're going to type in their questions into Google, and websites are going to come up, and the websites are going to come up. Those are going to be the different companies that get found, the different practices that get found, right? And if you're not blogging and you're not creating content that can get found to those search results, you don't exist. And I see that as a giant opportunity. If I was your agency, or if I was working with you, that would absolutely be the first thing that I would be working with you on. Could you imagine if you had a blog article called "Who Can Sue for Wrongful Death in Kentucky?" And every time somebody Googled "Who can sue for wrongful death in Kentucky," you came up. You'd be generating qualified traffic to your website all day, every day. Now imagine if you had 100 articles, 500 articles, 1,000 articles just like that. You'd be coming up for all these different terms. You'd be helping so many more of these Kentucky people, and there's just a giant missed opportunity. I know it's an investment in time to create that content, but there's no better long-term value for marketing than to start creating content that can get found and last for years and have long-term benefits for your company. So that's my case.
Drop the mic, dude.
That's my case, no pun intended. And hopefully that was helpful.
Great.
That was awesome.
All right, shall we move on to the next site? And while we're doing that, let me check Twitter here. Tara, your company tweeted.
Oh, good job, guys.
Hashtag naughty by nurture.
Oh my God.
That would be Brian. Thanks, Brian.
All right, Tom, take it away, bud.
Absolutely. Hey, Bob, just in relation to what you just shared with that law firm, there's another stat I found that said once you write 21 to 54 blog posts, blog traffic generation increases by 30%. So once you start to get above a certain numbers, you're going to start to generate the traffic like Bob was talking about. So
because it compounds on top of itself,
exactly.
right? I mean, if you have one article and no one's really finding it, you're not going to get a huge boost from it. But once you start having more articles and you're cross-linking them to each other, and then other people linking to these various articles, and you're starting to build up an asset, and once you get to 25, 50 articles, you're starting to get some site authority. That means every page that you have is ranking more. The rankings are increasing. And once you get, it's just, if you stay consistent with it, I mean, hey, Tom, we started blogging, 6 years ago, and we were having about 1,000 visitors come to our site a month.
Mm-hmm.
This month, we're very close to going to have about 100, well, not right now, but by the end of the month, we'll be very close to have 100,000 visitors come to our site for 5 years.
Yep.
I mean, and we don't spend any money on advertising here at Impact.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do is content marketing. It takes a while, but the long-term benefits are huge.
Absolutely.
So.
Not to mention, it makes you guys stand out as a thought leader, right? The more you blog, the more you share content, especially like you're talking about with a law firm, but with every firm, the more that you can give advice and just share what you know as an expert, because, right, we're all experts in our own little way with what we do and what we sell, the more people are going to see you as a credible source. So I think that content it's so advantageous for so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And most people find us and will find you if you commit to it from your blog articles. They won't know to go to your website and go to your homepage and type into the browser. They'll go to Google and ask a question. That's how they're going to find you. That's where all of our traffic comes from. Our most popular pages on our site are blog articles, much more than our homepage.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Same here.
Cool.
Yeah. You guys have great articles as well.
We'll share some good articles.
All right, Coco's sitting here saying, "Can you just get back to me?"
I was like,
I'm ready.
Can I go now, Bob?
Yes.
I'm interested. What's a digital gym?
Yeah, I'm interested too, and I don't know.
Not Pokemon Go.
No. So I think overall, I just wanted to start by saying I actually really appreciated the brand and style that they have. I think a lot of design elements are quite cohesive if you look through it. You've got the type of people that would be attending this gym in the imagery. You've got the logos in the imagery. You've got similar style of photography from the top to bottom, consistent fonts. I just thought they did a pretty strong job there.
This looks like a real fitness club.
Yeah.
And I say that because every other website we looked at today didn't look like real companies. But here we are. We're looking at the real facility with real members, with smiles, with the real logo in the background.
Absolutely. So I guess the critique starts in the fact that I absolutely missed their value proposition when I first got to their site, and I'm not making that up. For me, it just blended into the orange of the photo, and it didn't really jump out at me. And then when I did see it, Coco, a digital gym, I think that's really clever, but there's nothing, Tara, to your point, there's nothing that reinforces that. What does that mean? What does that mean to somebody that's never seen that before?
I still don't know. I'm still intrigued, but I have no idea.
Right, and there's plenty of real estate up here to have that conversation with the user. So I'd love to see that kind of in place of that find your location, because I'm not going to look for the location until I know what type of gym that you're actually offering me. So I think that's a real quick win that you guys can do and increase the conversion percentage next to that link there. The other part is, it's a standard link on top of an orange background. I think you have a real nice opportunity to make that find yours here, maybe a big blue button to match the find a club button on the top. So you want to create that hierarchy of buttons there, and find a club is definitely a bottom of the funnel type of an offer versus going deeper into the site. So that blue really jumps out to me. I think that'd be great. The next level down, you've got a video, and the production quality, I actually didn't watch it, but the production quality looks fairly good just from the screenshot, and it looks like you're probably using something like Wistia to track it based on the play button. But the real struggle for me was there's no incentive for me to watch it. I don't want to watch it because you tell me to watch your video. I would love to see something like change your life now, or learn how digital gyms do X, and really create that value for me to watch that video. It's great that you have the social proof. I appreciate that it's right above, right under the hero image, but really add the value to that video. If you scroll down, again, we have a really good continuation of the brand. Expert coaching, excellent results, almost a secondary value proposition, which I can appreciate, but it doesn't differentiate you guys enough from that digital value prop you have up top. But again, I still haven't really learned what the digital gym is. I see digital coaching, but it's very small, and you don't see it in the main header there. I see that you're trying to support that statement by using some social proof as well. But again, to the point, I don't see it. I really need to see what differentiates you from, the Planet Fitness or the Wow Fitness down the road. So that'd be really helpful to see here and even up higher.
And it's a good point, because I'm seeing all this technology. I'm seeing these screens. It looks like they're on every machine. Do I have something that's like a digital profile that syncs up to these machines and keeps a record and is customizes my workout to exactly what I need in that exact moment and that time of day? Because these are the questions that I'm having that are not getting answered, right?
Mm-hmm.
I almost say, and I have no idea what the video does, or exactly what you're saying. I'm intrigued to see what that screen is going to show us. But the social proof here, the future of fitness is here, Los Angeles Times. Move that up and put that next to the video and make that video bigger. Yeah. And then I want to click on the video. It's like, wow, what is the future of fitness? I think all of us are runners, right? So if I'm a runner and I go to the site and I see this video that says the future of fitness, then I'm going to be super interested to see it, other than watch our video. That's very product one-sided, and people might not be coming here being product aware. So I think that would be really interesting, is to try to test moving those next to each other.
I forgot that you're a runner. When you come down for the event on August 4th, which is at Impact on CRO, it's $2.99. Everyone should sign up. When you come, we should go running that morning.
I don't know. I've been watching your runs on Facebook. I'm a little scared about that, but deal. We'll do it.
All right, sounds good.
As long as we can run to a Starbucks.
Can I be considered a runner if I chase the dog in the backyard? Does that count?
Sure. You can do whatever you want. Actually, that's good. We're doing a Fitbit challenge right now internally. So, Hotjarian's watching. I'm coming for you with steps.
Yes.
Hey, maybe you could use a digital gym.
Maybe I can use it. Let's find out what it is.
Yeah. Christine, if you could scroll down a bit more, and what you guys will notice is that this homepage is really, really long. So it starts to go into the how it works, and it explains every step of it, which I think is fantastic. But to me, this deserves its own page. Show me a quick overview of how it works, maybe using some icons, moving from left to the right, icons that symbolize, maybe the digital screens that we're talking about, the type of trainer you're going to be working with. But you could create another opportunity for you to be found if you were to have how digital gyms work as a singular page, and try to attract people to that. Because as you scroll down, you'll see that it's almost it's almost like one of those anchored long scrolling websites where you don't think there's any other pages inside.
And I like it, and I absolutely agree. I think it should be on someone's page, because you know what? I don't know if people would scroll that far down the page to even see that this is on here.
But you know what would tell us if somebody scrolled all the way down the page?
Hotjar.
That's right.
Hotjar would.
So, Christine, if you head down to the bottom, this is right here. So we've got two similar calls to action right next to each other. If you scroll up just a little bit, we've got find a club near you, find a club near you. There's really no differentiation there. One of the things I struggled with was I was having trouble getting through the content. So we've got so many different font sizes and asterisks and finding and colors and button sizes. It was a little bit difficult for me to understand where I should click and which one I should use. The other thing that I think is a really good tip you guys can take away right now, I'm guessing you might be hindering your conversion percentages by having results may vary right next to the button. I would probably suggest taking that content out and putting it in your footer and just generally having it on every page, because again, it's like a conversion. Something to help increase conversions would be for a software, no credit card required. That's something that would help people click on that button. When you see results may vary, that's almost like a negative connotation. I can click on this, but something might not happen if I do it. So
that's a really good point, Tom. Yeah. Sorry. I agree with that and the one above it. In that really, really, really small print. not available in all locations, some restrictions apply, see local club for details. It feels very negative. Like I maybe would just put an asterisk with terms and conditions and have a separate page altogether with all that information.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Reduce the friction.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Christine, let's see. Can you go over to the Stronger blog for a second? I actually like that they called it that. But the biggest gripe I have here is if you scroll down, you're going to see that the entire post lives outside the actual post. And this one looks like a conversation, interestingly enough. But it's just not, I mean, it's just not friendly to the reader at this point. There's really no structure to the content. There's no headers. There's no bullet points. It's very difficult for me to understand what I'm reading here. It looks like I'm reading the same story from the top of the page all the way to the bottom. Now, the good news is that you do have the articles created as pages, but it was tough for me to figure that out because I didn't know the titles were clickable. I was looking for the button, the Read More button at the bottom, and then I was like, oh, okay, I can actually click on the title. And when I did that, I felt like I went to a different website because you have the hero section still at the top, and I wasn't sure if I actually had gotten into the post because everything below it looks the same. So from a UI perspective, I would love to see you, number one, create summaries of the post on the index page of the blog, and then on the interior page of the blog, remove that big header, get the H1 up a little bit higher, and show me that I'm actually on the post. The other thing, too, is on the sidebar is a little distracting from the content. So aside from that high contrast background, we have a dark background and the light text, it's a little jarring. You've got a lot of other actions for me to take on the right-hand side. And you know, Bob always calls us out in the throwdowns, and I couldn't agree more, especially with this, is there's really no value to subscribe right now. You have so many awesome things you could offer your members or potential members. You know, why not use something around like, you know, learn how a digital gym can save your life, you know, one article at a time, something like that. Or even add an offer in there, like a downloadable ebook or your checklist to getting started with a digital gym, and have people subscribe that way. Just so much more value in that.
Or 1 week free.
There you go. See?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much opportunity with this blog. I mean, I think there's so much that you could do that you could test and see a lot of massive improvements. I like those ideas, guys.
Yeah, and I had one other thing that I think is a really cool tip. If you go up and you click Find a Location, actually, I don't think you can. The only way you can get back to the home page here is by clicking cocofitclub.com on the right. Home actually takes you back to the main blog, which is a little tough. So guys, if you're watching this live, you can see how much of a user issue this is. If you click Find a Club, I typed in my zip code, 06109. And it looks like there's nothing in my area. So I thought something really cool here would be to add some kind of a resource for somebody who doesn't find what they're looking for, or for the potential franchise owner, have a big button that says open your location now. I think that'd be a really cool opportunity to start generating some leads.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a no-brainer right there. If you have the own a club as a call to action on that page, I think that's an awesome idea.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, at the bottom of the screen, I'm seeing a little. Oh, there. Okay, it's there. I did not see that before.
Yeah, but make it bigger. Like that's, I think that's again to what we were talking about. You had to think to even see it. I didn't see it either. So it's hidden under this view all locations. So as soon as you get that, sorry, we don't have one in your area, you're going to bounce. Yeah. But if you have something that's big, like we don't have one, but start changing your life or change your life today and start building in that franchise opportunity, I think that's a massive chance.
Cool. That's it for me on this one.
So our friend Scott Phillips was asking about their site, and I guess maybe probably talk about their blog, wondering what it was built on. And I just did a quick built with check, and looks like it was built on WordPress. So just FYI, that was on Twitter.
Cool.
All right, we got one more site to go to, and Tara, you gonna bring us home?
Let's do it. Click to reload, please. All right, great. So Avasure, what an interesting company. So they mitigate bird strike risk. Um, Obviously, I'm not the persona for this. I had to look up a little bit as to what bird strike risk meant. But I think that there's a lot of opportunity for this site overall. So I want to start again with the scrolling header on the top. Let's kill that and get rid of it. It's super distracting and it moves so fast. So when I came here and I was trying to figure out, okay, what does mitigating bird strike risk mean? I couldn't actually read the taglines and digest them without it moving to the next one. So before we kind of scroll down on the page, I'd love to pause in each one and read these out loud because I think that aside from killing the actual scrolling header, there's some work that probably needs to be done here with these guys when it comes to positioning and value proposition again. So if we kind of pause on this one, and I think, Christine, if you click on it, it won't move, just inside. The next wildlife hazard management training will be held at Burleigh Heights, Queensland in August and December 2016, and then a button for further information. So there's two things that I would see that you could work on with this one. Now, first and foremost, not everyone that's going to this page is probably interested in going to a wildlife hazard management training in Queensland, especially because they have locations throughout the world. So an opportunity here is to even just take this and move this into the news section that you have in your site, which we'll talk about a little bit further on, and take it out of the navigation, because I think it's probably distracting people from understanding what it is that Avasure actually does, because this tells me nothing about Avasure, or even if this is your event that you have. The second part of it is for further information. That makes sense, but at the same time, it's not a great phrase that you would want to use in a call to action button. So if you think about what the goal is for this specific call to action, is the goal that they get information, or is the goal to have them register for the event? So usually changing and testing out variations between the different buttons, whether it's for further information or to register, you can kind of see how people are interacting overall with that specific one. Now if we can go to the next one, Christine, please. So this one was interesting for me because I think it's kind of an incomplete sentence. It starts with, key to success is working with our clients to build sustainable, effective programs drawing on our quality expertise from years on the ground experience. So first and foremost, key to success. Is it your key to success? Is it the key to success? What is the key to success? The second part is this still doesn't really tell me what Avasure does. So I've gone through now 2 banners in this variation or in this website, and I have no idea what this company does other than what's in their logo. So you can click into what we've done, but do I want to click into knowing what you've done? Because I don't really understand what you even do to begin with. So I think kind of working on that, and we'll pause for a second on the banners and look in the second section where you have copy. The first line says specializing in wildlife and bird strike risk management. I would take that and start with that. That makes complete sense as to what Avasure does as a whole. So pulling that out and making that something more, what your key to success is, instead of focusing on, we help our clients build sustainable, effective programs drawing on quality expertise. What kind of expertise? Just say, we specialize in wildlife and bird strike management. The next one.
And then repeat it right below.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole paragraph is the same thing you just read. So
yeah. So and there's duplicate content there, right? So I think that's also challenging, your SEO capabilities on this site. So if you go to the next banner that we have here, Christine, and this is another one where I think there's a lot of opportunity for building your site out further when it comes to careers. And this says positions vacant with a line. YVR Airport Site Manager, Wildlife Control, and part-time YVR Wildlife Management Technician. Again, it's a lot of content to read. I'm not digesting it easily. And another call to action button that says for further information. So I would take this and just have we're hiring, or something simple like join the team. If you go into the about or our people link, there's this entire page with all these really friendly looking awesome people that I kind of want to know, like, you're wearing baseball hats, you look friendly, you look happy. That's something where I'd say, like, this is our team, join us, we're hiring, is more exciting than positions vacant. Like, the word vacant to me sounds a little negative and a little scary in some ways. And then the last banner, if you scroll to the last one, this one kind of got me the most because I think this is where you're trying to put your value statement in wildlife and bird strike risk management and airport safety. There's a lot of ands in that sentence. So I think just kind of swapping that with what you have in the second section and having a stronger call to action overall could really help support increasing people knowing what you're doing in your conversions. So if you scroll down in the page a little bit, guys, anything you'd add to that one? It's a lot of information for just the top section.
No, you're very, very clear. Totally great.
Awesome. So Christine, just scroll up a little bit more. Sorry. So the next part that kind of got me tripped up on the site is under all of this scrolling banner and noise that's happening on the top, you've got these 6 different call to action or primary entry point buttons that are all buttons that go into the website, but they're really confusing to me at first glance. Like, if you read the words out loud, wildlife management program, wildlife hazard assessment, wildlife hazard management plan, wildlife management training, the first question I would ask is, do they have to say wildlife? I think if you're here and you're part of a bird aviation or strike risk management program, you probably understand that this is a wildlife hazard management plan. So I think there would be opportunity here to break these out and make it look a little bit less cluttered. The whole second half of the page, if you just scroll down real quick, Christine, between the specializing paragraph and then this other paragraph on the bottom, what I would actually do is take these and maybe rework and try a variation where you break up all of those entry points into sections, you know, where you have an icon and a little bit of content next to them that explains exactly what it is that you do and what you're offering. Because to me, when I look at the page, it's noisy and there's a lot of information, but I just don't know if I want to read that information yet, because those entry points within those call to actions are, you know, they're abrupt, but they don't give me any information. So I break out the really important information that you have and then get rid of some of the duplicate, like our key to success is working with clients, because you can have that in your About Us of the site. The next part I would think about doing, and just to, you know, reiterate what I said earlier, like any suggestions I make, I always recommend split testing them, definitely. Like, don't just make the changes without looking at the data, because I'd love to throw, again, like heat maps or something on top of these and see how people are actually navigating and clicking on the page and where they're clicking. But I thought it was interesting on the map, if you click on it, you can kind of move the map around, and then you lose half the country. You'll get some gray space. There's parts where the dots don't necessarily work. I'd be curious to see if this is something that people like, or if this is just a lot of noise on the page itself. To me, it's noise, but if you're an aviation company in some form or fashion, I bet it's probably in some ways attractive to have, this is where we are on the globe and this is what we're working on. But I think that there's probably a better way that you can do this without it being so big and so confusing. If you scroll over those the little buttons on them, there's information about where they're located, but I don't think this is doing exactly what you want it to do here, because like I mentioned, there's some issues with the way that the map itself works.
You know, one thing to that point, Tara, was I was looking at their domain name, and they're avazir.com, but they're based out of Australia. So I'm a little confused as to why maybe you don't have an avazir.au domain to rank, you know, locally there. Most of your business, at least locations you have, are in that country, but you really only have the .com domain. So a little curious. I mean, I think, again, you probably do better in the local Google searches near that location. Mm-hmm. I understand if you're trying to expand globally, but have, you know, maybe a different language for the site for that with the .com there.
That's an awesome piece of advice, because even if you look through the site and hover over the title tags they have in the pages, I think there's a lot of opportunity for work from an SEO perspective as well. There aren't a lot of title tags being used, and I agree with the localization. I was thinking about that myself earlier, looking at this, because they do have very specific local locations that they can probably do a lot to build up. I'd imagine that, you know, competition in this specific area, it's probably something that you could really fast forward with if you just focus on getting traction within those local places.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the last thing, actually there's 2 more things I have for this site. If you scroll to the bottom, Christine, Right there in the footer, there's some testimonials, and there's actually an entire section on the site dedicated to testimonials. To me, this is way more interesting than the copy that you have on the homepage when it comes to, like, our key to success is to do this and that. Like, everyone can say what their mission statement is or their key to success is, but social proof on a homepage is probably one of the best things that you can do, because, and Bob talked about this a lot with his sites too, like, throw a picture with that, you've got the names and the titles, and throw those up a little bit higher, and you can show that people have had a lot of success. Like, Avishar has provided a continued high level of support to McKay Airport since 2005. That's a really long time that you've retained this customer. So I think these are things that you can celebrate and put them higher up on the site.
Absolutely. It's almost sad it's been so depreciated to just something that was stuffed in the footer.
Yeah, and I bet if you had a scroll map or something on here, it's probably getting lost almost all the time. People might not even ever see it. It took a lot for me to find that testimonial was even there.
I'm not gonna lie. I was to that exact point. I hopped off here and I was checking the hashtag and came back over, and you were talking about this. I'm looking at the page for like 30 seconds, saying, "Where the hell is the testimony she's talking about?"
I made it up.
And then I finally found it in the footer. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a missed opportunity and a huge potential opportunity you have with the site. The last thing I have is in the news section. So if you even click on the read more and latest news, right now it looks like in the navigation under information there is a news dropdown. That news is being used as a blog of some sort, which I think is good. It actually, interestingly enough, the latest news in the footer is not the most recent article that you have, so I'd fix that. So maybe, Christine, if you wanted to go to information, drop down, and then click on news. And then there's a bird strike that's happening, or a bird strike committee, I guess, in USA meeting. I think that this is great, and there's a big opportunity on this page if you did want to use it as a blog. We talked a lot about blogging in the last couple sites that we looked at too. Even little things like find out information about what we do or your call to action. You have a lot of services such as the risk assessment, things that you could offer as converting, call to actions on the site that you might want to weave in some form or fashion. And I think that this is something as an opportunity that you could really start to build up if you put a little bit more content into it.
Absolutely. So bird strike, is that a bunch of birds flying around with signs?
That's what I first thought, actually. Stupidly enough, it was probably my ignorance there. It's when birds hit airplanes.
Yeah. No, I know.
Well, it's actually funny. I found a picture about a bird strike, and it's exactly that. It's birds standing on a plane wing with picket signs, and the pilot saying that's got to be the worst bird strike I've ever seen. I just tweeted it. So.
I had no idea that this existed, but I think it's super interesting, and who knows? You could have fun with pictures like that throughout the site, or jokes in a blog or something like that to bring some humor. Because even looking at the people on the site, I think you've got a really good team of people that seem like you've got a really friendly approach. There's a dog in the Our People section of the site, so play off of that. Like, have fun. Bring some more personality to your website.
Awesome. All right, let's bring this bad boy to a close. After another successful website throwdown, Tara, you were amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys. That was really fun. You guys did great too.
We're just a few short weeks away from you coming down to Wallingford for this awesome workshop we're doing, how to master testing and triple your conversion rates. I'm super excited to do this with you. So make sure you sign up. If you're listening right now and you haven't even checked out the link yet, what are you waiting for? You're going to leave here with so much great stuff. You're going to want to make sure that you're here. And with that, Tom, if anyone wants to get in touch with you after this, how can they do that?
You guys know the link, impactbnd.com/talk. And what's funny is in most of my initial conversations, I talk a lot about Hotjar because when we do talk about website optimization and growth-driven design, there really isn't a better tool to kind of pair together with HubSpot to figure out, where do I need to add calls to action? Where can I include social proof? How can I improve the conversion on this particular form? And it's by listening to and understanding the visitors you have on your site. So Go ahead and fill that out, and we'll talk about that.
Awesome.
My favorite Hotjar tool is the one just watching replay sessions.
Yeah.
When we redesigned our blog, I was telling Tara this before, when we redesigned our blog, I spent hours watching how people were using the blog, seeing how it reacted to different browsers, and we were able to fix every little thing that we were able to find. It was a ton of fun. Hotjar is a phenomenal product.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So
we
Tara,
do the
if they want to learn more about you or Hotjar, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, feel free. Anyone can email me directly even. It's tara@hotjar.com. So super easy email to get in touch with, and happy to answer any questions or set anyone up with a free trial for Hotjar too.
Great. Well, don't play too much Pokemon Go and stay cool.
Sounds good. Yeah, opening my window right after this.
See you in a couple weeks, and thank you everyone for tuning in.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.